Phillies, they have a Kyle Schwarber and pitching problem, and I really don't know what the Phillies could do about it. Nick Nurse one step closer to the Sixers head coaching job. DeAndre Hopkins an Eagle. All these topics more. Today, Memorial Day, we remember those. Trending the AM, it starts in 30 seconds.
Fourth and goal.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Do me that favor. Hit that like button, that subscribe button. Turn notifications on. Do all that great work. Share, like on the YouTube page. I'd greatly appreciate it. Best way to get interactive with the show is on the YouTube page, but also it's the best place. I mean, this is the best place to go every single morning for the most interactive, fan-friendly sports talk show in Philadelphia, where your opinions actually matter. And we got lots on this Memorial Day, schedule and docket to talk about. We got Kyle Schwarber. We're going to talk a little Phillies. I'm not going to spend the day bashing Rob Thompson per se, but we do have a Kyle Schwarber problem, I think. Some people disagree, so we're going to talk about that. Obviously, the Phillies have a pitching problem. I'm just curious where Dave Dombrowski is right now and why we don't have Dave Dombrowski doing anything other than Dylan Covey to fix this problem. Nick Nurse, we're going to talk about that again. He is, one step closer to being the Sixers head coach, and DeAndre Hopkins available. Oh, crap. Did I say I was cracking a beer on the show? Maybe. I forgot about that. I didn't bring one in here. I still got my coffee. I literally just woke up 20 minutes ago, Kyle. But maybe I should crack a beer. Today is Memorial Day 2023. Obviously, everyone be safe with your barbecues. Have fun. There's a lot of family traditions and stuff like that. But then let us not forget what the real meaning of Memorial Day is. And it is to honor those that have fallen in the line of duty or for protecting our country, basically. And so we need to make sure we take a moment out of our day-to-day to remember what the day really is about. But let's just dive right into the Phillies today and dive into the Phillies this morning. Phillies split against the Atlanta Braves this weekend. It was a tough, obviously, series on the docket. And I feel like I have this conversation frequently that something semi-positive happens, but I don't feel good about it. If you would have told me before Thursday you are going to split with the Braves, I am going to say I'm happy. But for some reason, I'm not. I feel like the way we went about losing this weekend, what is up, my man Mitch? How you doing this morning? When you go out on Sunday Night Baseball last night, you got a chance to win the series, and you throw Dylan Covey out there, who should never have been brought in the first place. I know he had a good outing in relief his first day here in Philly. But I have to question, I want to talk about Kyle Schwarber. I do. But I have to severely, severely question what Dave Dombrowski's doing right now. You have a pitching staff that is in turmoil. You don't have a fifth starter. That's obvious. You're piecing it together as you go. Ranger Suarez has been hurt, is not obviously ready to be pitching. Whether he's not healthy, hasn't had enough work, to get ready, I don't know. But he's not ready. You've got Aaron Nola, who is still sulking out there after not getting his $200 million. The fifth starter spot, that's a concern, obviously. But, man, the Aaron Nola pitching concern, at least Zach Wheeler this weekend. I mean, he's slowly been turning around. Then this weekend goes out there and throws a dominating outing against the Braves. At least Taijuan Walker's listening to some work in the bullpen and figuring out some issues mechanically and gone out there and inconsistently been good his last couple outings. Excuse me. I don't know. Like the Aaron Nola problem, like I don't even know what you do with it. Can you even trade Aaron Nola? He's gonna be a free agent at the end of the season. The Phillies have like a serious pitching problem. And because of all the reasons I just listed, the Ranger Suarez, the not having the fifth, the Aaron Nola problem is just magnified even 10 times more than it is. But Dave Dombrowski is the problem here. Like I can't blame Rob Thompson for the pitchers being terrible. I could blame the Rob Thompson for not having them ready to start the season. But now at this point, it's on the pitchers. Like Dave Dombrowski, like I'm sure he's making phone calls, but he is not even remotely being aggressive enough. You've got a $240+ million payroll, fourth highest in baseball, and you're going out there and trotting this rotation out every single day. I feel bad for the bullpen. And shout out to Craig Kimbrell. He got that 400 save. That's fine. He's still not a prototypical closer at this point in his career. He's got to do it. It is what it is. Still gives up too many home runs, but I guess that's good. And we're going to get into the Kimbrell stuff with the Kyle Schwarber talk in a minute. But like, what's Dave Dombrowski doing right now? Like, his bold move was to go get Covey, a guy that's a career minor leaguer, an average minor leaguer, and a career bad pitcher. And that's his move to try to piece it together right now. Like, we talked about a Sixers pause year. And I think it was last week I kind of roped into it the Phillies. Like, are they realistically just on a pause year too? I mean, like there's no energy. There's no fight from this team. You would have thought Sunday Night Baseball last night, they lose 11-4. I mean, it was worse than that. I mean, it was 7-0 before the first inning was over. Dave Dombrowski, like, I can't accept that John Middleton would be happy with this performance with the money he's spent. And if you went to John Middleton and be like, we got to fix it. We made some mistakes. We're going to have to spend more money. I'm sure John Middleton would. So where is that aggressive nature from Dave Dombrowski? That is what Dave Dombrowski is known for. Being an aggressive general manager, president, trading draft picks, whatever it may be, to get the best of the best players in his city. Like, I know we've built a pretty, on paper, expensive lineup with Turner and Harper and Schwarber and Castellanos. You got the daycare crew, Stott and Bohm and whatnot. But like, something's got to give. Like, the offense isn't great, but the offense, not being great is not, as bad as this pitching staff. And I just can't imagine that there's not a better arm out there that Dave Dombrowski could go get to fix this team than Covey. Like, I feel bad for him. He was put in an unwinnable situation, having to pitch on Sunday Night Baseball when he's not even that great of a pitcher. Inevitably put into a losing situation. And I feel bad for him. But there's a reason why his career has shaken out the way it is. He's just not a major league pitcher. But this is the type of move that, like, the 2014 or 15 Phillies made. It's a move the 95 or 96 Phillies made. Like, I remember a year with the Phillies, their big free agent pitching acquisition was John Lieber, and he was the ace of the team. He would have been the fifth starter on it. I think he came from the Cubs, and he was like the fourth or fifth starter on the Cubs. And he has to come here and be the number one pitcher. Like, that's what the Covey move is. It's the move of a losing team. And I know you can only make so many moves, and the players you've paid have to do their job. But we are now, Wednesday or Thursday is going to be June 1st. We are now 2 full months into the season. It's not April anymore. It's almost June. You're going to fall. You're 7. I had it up before. I think we were 7 games back. We would have won last night. We would have been 5 games back of the Braves. That's the difference that game made last night. And that is what you trucked out there. I mean, I got my man Adam Mack. He covers the Iron Pigs for AAT Sports. He's been on the show before talking Phillies. I mean, he's out there talking about a pitcher on AAA. He's got like a 5.6 ERA, and he might be the best option at this point for the 5th spot. Like, that's how bad our pitching is at this point. I mean, I know he's not ready, but Mick Abel, your number 2 pitching prospect, he's pitching really well in AA. I mean, is it going to be any worse if you throw him out there over Covey or what you're doing right now? Like really? I mean, even Bailey Falter at this point, I know he's struggling. He had a decent outing in his last outing in AAA, I mean, you might have to go back to that well again. But the problem is that Dave Dombrowski, to me as a fan, seems like he's sitting on his feet or sitting on his hands far too much right now and not doing enough to improve the starting rotation. And it's kind of boggling in my mind. You look at it, Aaron Nola gave up another 5 runs on Thursday. We did not talk about it. I chose not to talk about it this week. Didn't want to talk about Phil or last week. Didn't want to talk about it. But we got to get there. I mean, I'm looking at yesterday. You know, and Dylan Covey, he didn't get through the first inning. He gave up 7 runs. Now the error didn't help, but still. I mean, you're putting a guy in an unwinnable situation. Luckily, Hoffman came in and was able to keep it semi-respectable. Then Connor Brogdon got roughed up. If it's not Connor Brogdon, it's Gregory Soto. If it's not Gregory Soto, it's Ken Kimball or Dominguez. It's like we've got all this talent in our bullpen, but at least one stinks every day. It's like Rob Thompson's got the inevitable task of which one's going to be the one that blows it up today. And when you're getting into your bullpen in the first inning, you're really putting yourself up against the wall, and that's a problem right there. So this is an ongoing problem. This number 5 spot that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed pretty quickly because this is not last year. You're just not going to go on a 15-1 run and get back in it. The further you fall behind, the harder it's going to be to put it all back together at the end of the year. It really is. Make it harder to backdoor your way in. And that brings me to my other issue with this Phillies team right now. And that is one Mr. Kyle Schwarber. And it's a sensitive subject to people out there, obviously. Because I put out a tweet this weekend, you know, at what point do you bench somebody with, well, now he's got a 168 batting average? At what point do the walking 1 time a game, and the now 13 home runs, is it just not enough? Kyle Schwarber, let me repeat that, is hitting 168. And there's people out there telling me that it's not a big deal because he walks. He's hitting 168 in the 5-hole. He's got 13 home runs, and let me pull up his box score from yesterday. 13 home runs and 27 RBI. He is in your 5-hole. But he is hitting 168. The analytics people say it doesn't matter. He gets on base. That's all that matters. Dude, it does not matter. It does matter. I mean, there's no scenario in my book where a guy hitting 168 keeps his spot in the 5-hole in a lineup. Yeah, he walks a bunch, and that's great. And whatnot. And last year he hit 220, but he walked a lot. He struck out a lot. We're talking 168 here. 3 things happen every time Kyle Schwarber gets up to the plate. He either draws a walk, he hits a home run, or 84% of the time he gets out, strikes out a ton. Like, if you don't want to bench the guy, all right. Well, at least take him out of the run-producing spot in the lineup. It's not like he's driving in 40 runs at this point. He's got 27 RBIs through nearly 51, 52 games of the season? Like, that's not good. It's 53 games in the season, and he's got 27 RBIs. So he's on pace for about, I don't know, 80 RBIs? And you leaving him in this 5-hole, why? Like, what is the pot? Like, all right, you want to leave him in the lead. Like, obviously, Stott is our leadoff hitter. Turner, number 2 hitter. You want to put him in the leadoff spot. At least you can say he's getting on base. I mean, but seriously, is his 323 on base percentage really worth the 168 average? I mean, it's not even like, Stott's not hitting great right now. He's got a 329. Turner's at 288. Harper's at 406. Castellanos is at 348. It's not even like, JT and Clemens have 310s plus. So it's not even like he's got this on-base percentage that's like 360. He's literally walking, striking out, and 13 times this year he's hit a home run. It's not like he's playing phenomenal defense either. You know, another error yesterday for him. It's like, I put this tweet out on Twitter that it's not okay. And the amount of people that came at me with all these analytical X, Y, Z's, plus minuses, like, we're not doing rocket science here. This is not physics. The guy's hitting 168. Hasn't been benched yet. He got bumped out of the leadoff spot for Stott. And that's it. And he got put in the 5-0 and he's not been moved. Like, I cannot mentally comprehend. Like, if Bryson Stott was even remotely struggling to this level, he'd be out of the lineup. Brendan Marsh has 3 bad games. He gets a day off. All these guys struggle. And nothing happens, and something happens. Kyle Schwarber or Trey Turner struggle. Last year, Nick Castellano struggles. And they're not held accountable. And you might say, well, who are you going to put out there? It doesn't matter. If you're hitting 168, somebody else should be playing for you for a day or two. Like, would it have been that hard for them to bench him last night? I know Spencer Strider is a great pitcher, one of the best in baseball. You don't want to bench on Sunday Night Baseball. You're already throwing Covey out there on Sunday Night Baseball. What harm would have been benching Kyle Schwarber? Phillies don't have a game today. It's Memorial Day, which is kind of weird. That you would think Memorial Day, America, America's pastime, that every team would be playing baseball today. The Phillies don't play baseball today. It's really weird. Like, I don't care. I mean, it won't distract me from doing what I'm doing throughout the rest of the holiday today, which I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm doing this. Most people take the morning off on a holiday like today. Not me. Right here every single day trending in the AM. It's weird that there's no baseball. But if you would have given him last night off, and then he gets today off because it's day off, 2 days to clear his head before the Mets series, I don't know. Would it have helped? I don't know. But it is something that has to be considered at least for 2 or 3 days. And I saw somebody, I think it was Mark, that said, "No, you got to let him get through this NL East, run of games, and then we'll see. And if he's still struggling, then you bench him." What does it matter whether you bench him now or he doesn't? You're either going to get 6 more, 7 more games of terrible play, and then bench him, probably lose a bunch of the games, or you're going to see him get slightly out of the funk, but not enough, and then you're going to be like, well, see, he's turning a corner. We keep playing him. I don't understand the freedom that he gets, that he can hit 168 and not be held accountable. And the fans, like, are the fans growing soft? Are they falling for all these analytic BS numbers? Like, there's so many numbers out there now. And it's become too much. Like, you want to say batting average doesn't matter as much, that's fine. But when we're talking, like, if you want to say that 240 batting average doesn't matter, all right. We are talking 168 today on Memorial Day, May 29th, is what Kyle Schwarber's hitting. 168. And there are people out there justifying it and saying it's okay because he draws walks. And those 12, 13 home runs are enough to justify it. I know he's your biggest home run hitter. I get that. But, like, something's got... at the very least, he should be down the 7 or 8 hole for now. You need somebody like Alec Boehm or Brandon Marsh who at least drive it. Alec Boehm, I think, leads the team in RBIs at this point. Is he still the leader in RBIs? I'm not sure. I don't know. Let me go to team stats here and see. Why is Alec Boehm constantly in the 7 hole? Like, I really don't get that. Yeah, he's got 37 RBIs. He leads the team in RBIs. Castellanos is second with 28, and then Schwarber's with 27. Like, put Alec Boehm in the 5 hole. He's probably your best hitter at this point. I know you go lefty, righty, lefty with Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber. I don't really care about that anymore. Lefty, righty, lefty, whatever. With the rules with the bullpen, got to go 3 guys, whatever. You back-to-back Marsh and Schwarber if you have to, whatever. At this point, does it even matter? I mean, seriously, like, we're talking 168 right now. I mean, it goes to, what's his name, too? It goes to Trey Turner not being held accountable as well. I mean, Trey Turner's, you spent $300 million. He's obviously struggling. That's fine. I get it. But you keep leaving him up there. I mean, he's got a 288 on-base percentage right now. He'll work his way out of it. But sometimes you got to do something as the manager. And I said I wouldn't criticize the manager. And I'm not criticizing him. I'm not saying fire Rob Thompson today. But, like, at some time, the manager, if you can't light a spark by flipping a table, if you can't, get these guys out of the funk during practice and batting practice and whatnot, sometimes you got to get creative just to spark them. Whether it's benching a bunch of guys, whether it's, moving the lineup around just for a game or two. Just something to get the guys out of their funk. You got to do something. And right now, Rob Thompson's doing nothing. And that's the problem. Like Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson are literally doing nothing for this Phillies team that's going to get them out of their funk. It's frustrating. It's unfortunate. Like, I don't have the answer. Some people might say, well, who do you want them to do? I don't know. I don't got the answer. Jake Cave is hitting 440 down in minors, by the way, since he was sent down. Just an FYI. Not saying that Jake Cave's the answer, but Jake Cave, he was terrible up here. He started to come out of it a little bit, got, sent down when Harper, got activated. But, would Jake Cave on this team be any better than Josh Harrison? Maybe, now that he's figured it out. Maybe he's got his sweet swing back. I don't know. Like, something's got to give here. Cody Clemens is actually playing well. Sosa's been struggling a little bit. I don't know. Maybe you find a way. You do a scheduled loss. I hate the term scheduled loss, but you give a couple guys a day off. Maybe you give them Tuesday off. You bench Turner and Schwarber, and you figure the lineup out. I don't know how, but you figure it out. I don't know. There's got to be something that gives here. And if it doesn't happen soon, you're going to look up and it's going to be everyone's like, oh, well, it's almost June. Kyle Schwarber will get out of it because he always hits a lot of homers in June. I'm just assuming he's going to hit 20 home runs again this upcoming month just because he did it last year. Like, and does that make up for it? I don't know. I don't understand how people could just assume that he's just going to burst out of this slump when we've seen nothing, because it's different, this slump. Like, it's worse than ever before. I've never seen a Phillies player hitting 168 being trotted out there. Been watching Phillies baseball. My first Phillies game was in 1986 that I went to. Like, been watching baseball for a long time. I cannot remember a stretch where a player has been hitting as poorly as Kyle Schwarber and left in the lineup every single day. This is not a part-time platoon player. This is not a guy that's, back end. This is Kyle Schwarber. He's out there every single day. I just can't get over it. I don't know. I will say that I'm trying not to criticize Rob Thompson as much, because obviously it pisses a lot of people off. Because Rob Thompson can do no wrong. But what I will say is that Rob Thompson better find something. We got 6 more games against our NL East opponents. We got the Mets for 3 starting Tuesday, and the next weekend we got Washington. That's going to be a pivotal stretch. They're beatable teams. Can the Phillies come out of the next 6 with 4 wins? They better. If it's 3-3, 2-4, guys are going to tell me it's still early, but it's not. Like, we are literally at a crucial, pivotal part of the season. This is the part of the season where we fired Joe Girardi last year. Was it like June 1st or June 2nd or something like that? We had our spark. We don't have that spark last year. Who knows what happened? Like, this is the pivotal spot. It's time. It's time for them to figure it out. It's time for them to put it together. And it's on Rob Thompson to figure this out. Real quick, I do want to take a look at one quick thing here before we get off. Now, they say there's no Phillies game today. There are a lot of baseball games today. Why are the Phillies? I was wondering if there's just not a lot of games on Memorial Day. But there is. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 22 teams playing on Major League Baseball on Memorial Day today. Really weird that in America's pastime, that many teams. That there's more. There's only 11 games going on today. You would think that there'd be a lot of 1 and 2 o'clock games. Everybody doing Memorial Day stuff. Do you have Memorial Day traditions? Like, I know that the real meaning is to remember those that gave their life serving this country, protecting our freedoms. That's what Memorial Day is about. I don't have a lot of military in my family history. I have a little bit. No one ever in my family history that I know of ever passed away. But there's a lot of people. So that's the meaning of it. That's the real meaning of what Memorial Day is. But Memorial Day is about America. It's a great American holiday. It's barbecues. It's beach. It's the unofficial start to summer. The school year is almost over for normal like middle school and high school kids. Like, it's such a pivotal day of the year. And a lot of people have a lot of Memorial Day traditions, but I don't. Like I don't. My wife and I, we don't even know what we're doing. We might go see my sister and her kids today. We might sit at home. We're watching The Diplomat on Netflix right now. Fantastic show, starring Kerry Russell. Um, really, really digging it. We got through 6 episodes yesterday. Like we don't have any set plans because Memorial Day is just not one that we have a lot of, formal plans. We did close the pizza shop today, which I remember I got to go online and post that. But there are no major Memorial Day traditions. It's not like like we've got traditions for Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving. Like I don't know about anybody else, but I've never had a set like thing that we always go to a barbecue at this house on Memorial Day or got to do this or that. It's just never been like that for me, and I'm not sure why. It's not. But I'm really surprised on a national holiday, a day about America, that America's pastime is not a bigger part of it. So only 11 games today, kind of surprising. I mean, it's good that the Phillies don't play because I don't want to be brutalized by them today. But that's that. Let's move on. Let's get to some basketball talk. 2 things I want to talk about basketball wise today. And again, make sure you're hitting the like button, the subscribe button, turn notifications on, share this out, shout it from the rooftop, trending in the AM, where your opinion actually matters. Not much going on in the comments, not much viewers today. It's a holiday. I still like to put the content out every day. So I want to talk about this, Nick Nurse. You want to talk Hopkins? We can get right into Hopkins. I don't want DeAndre Hopkins if it will ruin the chemistry we have with AJ and Smitty. We'll get back to basketball in a second because Mike brings up, DeAndre Hopkins. This was one of the topics today on the agenda. DeAndre Hopkins Friday after the show was released by the Cardinals, and he's available. And I think it was last week or a week and a half ago, he mentioned, the quarterbacks he wanted to play for if he was released. Obviously, I think Jalen Hurts was second or third on his list. Obviously, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. He named all the great quarterbacks. It's basically what Patrick Mahomes. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins would ruin the chemistry. I think the chemistry between A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts is strong. And Jalen Hurts is the type of guy, I don't think anything would ruin any chemistry on this offense because Jalen Hurts is so elite. The question is, will DeAndre Hopkins want to come to Philly? Is this the most desirable spot for him? So, I went back and forth on Twitter, Mike, with a bunch of people would rather Budda Baker. Absolutely, I would rather Budda Baker. I mean, we need a safety. We also do need to upgrade wide receiver 3. And that's the problem. Like, does DeAndre Hopkins want to be the third option? And if you put DeAndre Hopkins on this offense, it's unstoppable already, and it's just going to become even greater. Hopkins is a great wide receiver, but give me Budda Baker. So we got 2 people. And getting DeAndre Hopkins does not preclude you from getting Budda Baker either. It doesn't. You could still get both. Budda Baker's either going to be cut eventually. Whatever's going on in Arizona. Jonathan Gannon's got to be like, man, I gave up the Eagles defense for this chance. Screw Jonathan Gannon now. But I think bringing DeAndre Hopkins in would be a great option if it could be cheap enough. Was going to make like $14 million this year. Is he willing to take like a 1-year cheap deal? Because that's the only way I bring DeAndre Hopkins into the fold. You got about, I think I saw just under $13 million in cap space now left for the Eagles. You're going to either go get Budda Baker or a linebacker to upgrade linebacker or safety. You're going to need $8 million, $9 million, $10 million of that to get him. So can you get DeAndre Hopkins on a 1-year, $3 million prove-it deal? 1 year, $2.5 million, heavily incentive deal. If you could do that, you bring in DeAndre Hopkins without a shadow of a doubt, no questions asked. You bring him in. Now, will another team offer him a 2 or 3 year, $40 million contract? I don't think a team would. He got cut from a bad team who's trying to strip it down and start up. I know Kyler Murray isn't going to be playing this year, or maybe not much this year. So they don't really have to, they don't need DeAndre Hopkins. But Kyle Murray is still pretty young. You would think you would want to keep your players. But it looks like they're blown up. It looks like there's a chance Zach Ertz. Maybe you get Zach Ertz here. We wanted to upgrade tight end to. Maybe you bring Zach Ertz back. Is that another option there from the Cardinals? Cardinals are blowing it up. It's weird. And the Kyler Murray thing, I feel bad he's injured, but I never bought him, as the star that they were, ranking him as. So DeAndre Hopkins, I think, would be a good fit. The question is, are there other teams that are as good of a fit? He's going to want to go to a team this year, whether it's on a cheap deal or a long-term deal, probably a one-year deal. He's going to want to go to a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl. Eagles are one of them. But he also still wants to be, he's still a diva star guy. Wide receivers are divas, and AJ wants his touches. He gets upset when he doesn't get targeted. Hopkins will take away touches. I don't know how that will be handled. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, Mike, that you bring that up because, me and my buddy George, we've had this conversation about AJ's divaness privately on the side. And it hasn't reared its ugly head yet. But could it at some point? Now, I still go back to the simple fact you have the greatest leader in football in Jalen Hurts, a guy that gets it. Like, he gets it. Not just on the field playing, but he gets how to hold a team together, which it's so amazing that a guy at his age is the leader that he is. Normally, you learn how to be a leader. You grow into that leadership role. And he's just it. He is the leader. Like, better than anybody on the Phillies, anyone on the Sixers combined. It's insane the leadership he is. And if you're going to add another diva, you have to have that concern. I get it. But I just look at one thing and one thing only, and that's Jalen Hurts. And he's got it. Could you imagine a lineup? Like, if you bring in DeAndre Hopkins, it's to ensure another Super Bowl. At least another Super Bowl appearance. And if A.J. Brown cries because he gets 70 catches versus 80 catches, 8 touchdowns instead of 11, because you bring in another weapon on this offense, because you take Quez Watkins and upgrade him to DeAndre Hopkins, if he's going to cry about it, well, then he doesn't need to be on this team. And you're going to learn more about him, more about him than you think about it. This will be his second year with the Eagles. A.J. Brown. I mean, what did he sign, a 4-year deal? So 2 years into a 4-year deal for him? Then if he's a problem, then you move on from him at the end of the season. You just do. And then you don't worry about whoever you plug and play next to. Because when Jalen Hurts is there, it doesn't matter. And I've said it before on this show and on Twitter that Devontae Smith is better than A.J. Brown. You don't realize it. People don't realize it. But he is. And he's going to be. But to add a top 10 wide receiver to already a duo that's top 15, you just don't say no. But the problem is, I think there's 2 other teams that are better suited for DeAndre Hopkins, the diva, that wants his touches. Even if it's on a prove-it deal, if he takes a prove-it deal, he's going to want a place where he's going to lead the team in receptions so that he can get another big contract. But he also wants that Super Bowl. So I think there's 2 teams that fit. I would put the Eagles as the 3rd best fit. At the same time, you can't let Hopkins go to the Chiefs, Bills, or Cowboys. Well, that's the problem. 2 of those teams are the teams I'm talking about. I think the Chiefs are going to be the team that goes all in to get him. You put him with Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be scary. We struggled against who, in the Super Bowl. It's going to be tough if you put him there. But I think that's a place that he goes. Now, I don't know salary cap situations for these teams. I don't know if they can get him or not. But the Chiefs, to me, seem like the number one option. They don't have a true, real number one wide receiver. So he could go there, be the number one guy. He can go on a 1-year, $3 million, prove-it deal. He can have a chance to play in a Super Bowl again and be the guy. And if he puts up the numbers that he could next to Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get another $50, $60 million contract. The Bills, I've said it since day one, have needed somebody opposite Stephon Diggs. He'd be a great person opposite Diggs. Would help Josh Allen maybe get over the hump, get to a Super Bowl finally. I didn't think about the Cowboys. And that would be really brutal as well. That would be maybe 4th or 5th on the list. I would put the Eagles ahead of the Cowboys on his desired target list, but, it'd be interesting. Chiefs, I heard, are against it with the cap, so it would be hard to add him. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I barely know the Eagles cap situation. I don't do the numbers. I do theorize. I talk, ideas on this show, but I don't do the numbers. I'm not Jimmy Smith. I don't have the numbers down from on the road to victory like he does. If they're up against the cap, maybe that eliminates them. But if you're talking about $2 or $3 million, if you can get them for that, every team will find a way to defend. Every team would find a way to find $2 or $3 million to get a player of DeAndre Hopkins' level on their team for 1 year. And the Eagles have the cap space. He obviously Like it's crazy. Like people actually want to play here in Philly right now. We are like the gold standard organization right now. It's a terrible phrase, the gold standard. I get it, but you think about it. People want to play here. Why do they want to play here? Because the organization's run well and because Jalen Hurts. So I don't worry about the diva side of it. I just think the Chiefs, the Bills. Maybe you're right on the Cowboys too. I don't think the Bengals need them. They've got a great wide receiver trio there. Maybe the Jets. I don't know. Want to upgrade next to Garrett Wilson? I don't know. With Aaron Rodgers, that's gonna be a terrible situation. Still stay. Jets 6 wins or less this year. I'm trying to think of other teams that would be good. I saw somebody say the Chargers next to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams because they're always hurt, but DeAndre Hopkins does get hurt too. I don't know if that's a good spot for him. I'm not really sure if there's any other spots. I think the Chiefs, Bills, or Eagles will be where he lands. We are better suited with the cap space than the Bills and Chiefs, but the Browns, Deshaun Watson, they're trying to build around something. Get their monies back out of them. I don't know. I guess the Browns, maybe the Ravens. Make Lamar happy. You just invested finally all that money in Lamar. So there are other teams. But if he wants a chance to win, if he's signing a 1-year deal, if he's signing a 3 or 4-year deal, he might go to the Browns or the Ravens or the Cowboys or something like that. But if he's signing a 1-year deal, that's because he wants to play for a Super Bowl chance and then collect his bag next year. The Browns aren't anywhere near the Super Bowl yet. The Ravens aren't really. I mean, you think about it. There's 4 teams. Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Eagles. They're your 4 Super Bowl contenders for next year. Maybe the 49ers a distant 5th. The Cowboys an even distanter. And the Ravens 6 and 7. And I'll have to do my my top 10 chances to make the Super Bowl in 2023 later this offseason. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's better than the Chiefs, Eagles, or Bills right now. I'm a Bills fan secretly on the side. My secondary team was because as an Eagles fan growing up, the Bills playing the Washington, then Giants, then the Cowboys twice in the Super Bowl. I became a Bills fan to root against our division rivals. So I've always stayed up to date on them. And Josh Allen's one of those quarterbacks. We talked about it last week. Is Josh Allen like Joel Embiid? Just a super talented guy that can't get over the hump. A great regular season athlete that just can't win in the playoffs. But I've said with Josh Allen, it's kind of similar to Joel Embiid. Never been paired properly in Buffalo. Always a terrible running game with him. Offensive line suspect. Dawson Knox is okay. Not as great as people realize. You got Stephon Diggs, and no, you can't win with just one wide receiver in the NFL. Unless you're Patrick Mahomes. You just can't. Even Joe Burrow got a Super Bowl with multiple really good wide receivers. So I don't know. I've always been curious to see if you upgrade the weapons around Josh Allen, how much better he could get. And DeAndre Hopkins would be that. Like if it wasn't the Eagles, I would say I'd want to see him go to the Bills because I want to see what Josh Allen can do with somebody opposite of Stephon Diggs. Somebody real opposite. Everyone is saying that Hurts just started following Hopkins, so they are talking it's a sign. Bills. Anybody that was an Eagles fan grew up a Bills fan as well, just because of their Super Bowl, losses and stuff like that. People always take who follows who unfollows who on social media and really take it too far sometimes. I don't know. It doesn't really, I don't know. I don't follow into the social media game quite as much with that and its meanings and stuff like that. But could you just imagine this offense, this Eagles offense? Swift, Penny, Gainwell in the backfield. Hopkins, Smitty, AJ, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, obviously the best offensive line in football. We don't even need Budda Baker or an upgraded linebacker. We're just going to score 45 every game. Like I've talked about a lot prolonging Jalen Hurts' career by getting him to run less. Well, going out and getting DeAndre Hopkins is another step towards prolonging and protecting Jalen Hurts. We learned he could throw the ball. Everybody that questions whether he had the arm strength or the ability to throw proved them all wrong last year. I cannot fathom what this offense would be like if DeAndre Hopkins was here as well. And I threw in that little wrinkle there a few moments ago. I don't know if anybody heard it. What about Zach Ertz, too? Dan Arnold is not really much of an upgrade at tight end, too. over what's his name, Jack Stoll. Grant Calcaterra is still there. I guess they like him. But Dallas Goedert misses 4 or 5 games a year. Those 4, he's missed 12 over the last 3 seasons. 5, 2, and 5. Dallas Goedert. Go get Zach Ertz. Make him your tight end 2. Hell, make him your tight end 3 if you have to. I don't care. And then when Dallas Goedert's out for 4 games, which he's going to be out for 4 games, you've got Zach Ertz. I don't know. Something about that Zach Ertz. I thought Arizona blowing it up, Buda Baker, DeAndre Hopkins, and all of a sudden, like, what about Zach Ertz? Future Hall of Fame tight end. He don't want to play in Arizona in that situation. That's something that intrigues me a little bit there. Something that's got me percolating in the back of my mind. But anyway, we digress there. So DeAndre Hopkins, it's hit or miss. Like, if we don't get him, I'm not going to be upset, even if it's a cheap deal. I'm going to be excited if we do get him, but it's not going to break my heart if we don't get him. So there's that, Mike. I want to get. Would you bring back Deshaun Jackson for a veteran? No, I'm done on Deshaun Jackson. One of the greatest Eagles of all time, wide receiver wise, future Hall of Famer. Get that. I just don't think he's got anything left in the tank. You might as well just roll with Quez Watkins over Deshaun Watson at third. Quez Watkins over Deshaun Jackson at this point. I know a lot of people like to retire as a certain player. You want to bring him in for ceremonial retirement after his career's over, that's fine. I don't really find any. I don't get it. It's just a money grab doing that. But no, I'm over. Like, I'm over the Deshaun Jackson thing. I just, last year he barely could stay on the field, and it wasn't even injuries. He's just not as good anymore. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. He's lost a step. He had one thing as speed. He's still fast. He's just not as fast. I'm over him. So I want to get back to Sixers basketball and the NBA semifinal, or the NBA Eastern Conference Finals tonight. First and foremost, Sixers head coaching job. Nick Nurse one step closer, I guess, in my opinion. He pulled his name out of the Milwaukee Bucks job, and then his assistant with Toronto, I can't remember his name now, got hired as the Milwaukee head coach. Now, why would he pull his name out of a job unless he had another job? Unless he did that as a ceremonial thing before, then. So I didn't not get the job. I just pulled my name out. But him pulling it out, there was 5 coaching vacancies, and Milwaukee was probably the most desirable. Give or take them. It's either Milwaukee or Phoenix, in my opinion. Maybe he pulled his name out because he wanted his assistant to get the job. I don't know. KC does not have the money. Okay, so, but you know what? If it's $3 million, they'll find a way to make the money work. Any team would find the way to make the money work on a short deal, a cheap deal. Now, if you're talking $10, $12, $15 million, they won't, and neither will the Eagles, but that's a different subject. Does Nick Nurse pulling his name out mean anything about him wanting to come to Philly? Now, it seems like Philly and Phoenix are the 2 top spots for him now. Are the Sixers that leading candidate? And what got to me, the officiating in the playoffs has been really bad spots. Not just against the Sixers, across the whole board. I mean, it's just been atrocious. The clock management, I saw somebody break down frame by frame the clock management that left 0.1 seconds left on Game 6 so that, what's his name, could make the putback on that shot there to win it for the Boston. And they clearly show that there was about 0.2, 0.3 seconds too much put back on the clock. The officiating's been terrible. And if we could see it, I just and the thing that frustrates me with the officiating, Marshawn, is the fact that the NBA officiating, office keeps doubling down with, we agree, they're making the right calls. It's clearly not. Like, if a referee makes a mistake, call them out for it. Say they're going to do better. Say we're going to teach them to do better. Whatever. Don't just say, no, it's okay. But the Sixers head coaching job, before we get to the NBA Finals or the Eastern Conference Finals tonight, it made me put something out this weekend, like a tweet, like ranked that you had Milwaukee. When I put the tweet out, Milwaukee was still technically an opening. You had Milwaukee, you had Phoenix, the Sixers, Toronto, and Detroit. They were your 5 job openings at this point for head coach. Obviously, the Rockets already filled theirs with Ndoku. How would you rank the openings, the job openings, in level of desirability for a head coaching? Because there are big names, Nick Nurse, Budenholzer, Monty Williams. There are big Doc Rivers, big names on the docket that could be available for these jobs. So the question is like, is the Sixers job as desirable as these others? And I keep talking about how the Sixers got to sell themselves to these coaching candidates if they want one of these top guys. The strengths of a second they added was the difference in Boston's putback win. Not even a second. Like they could have put 0.2 seconds less left on it, and it would the 9/10 of a second. It's insane. It really is. And if we could do frame by frame, why can't the NBA? Like it was clear as day, and it's frustrating. It really is. Like Boston really has a chance to win tonight and be the first NBA team to come back from 3-0 in a series. Like where I mean, if Miami was Philly, and I don't know what Miami's people are talking like right now, but I don't see much of it on social media. If this was happening in Philly, oh my God, can you imagine what we'd be talking about right now? I mean, it wouldn't be fire Doc Rivers. It would be burn him at the stake Doc Rivers. You know what I mean? It'd be like, run him out of town. It would be calling out Joe. Like, is anybody calling out Jimmy Butler? I mean, he's played really bad the last couple games. Now, part of it just might be that he's 33, 34. Why I said last week I wouldn't want to bring Jimmy Butler back here because he puts so much effort out at his age. Like, he does run out of steam sometimes. He's not 24 years old anymore. Like, Jimmy Butler would be getting run out of town right now. Bam Adebayo scored 11 points, I think it was, in Game 6. He'd be getting run out of Philadelphia. Denver does not want, or the NBA does not want a Utah. Well, Utah is not going to be in it. It would be Denver. They wouldn't want a Utah-Miami finals because that would be really weird. Since the Utah Jazz didn't even make the playoffs. They want Boston because Boston sells tickets. Boston's one of the biggest sports franchises there is. Up 3-0 only to blow it up. Yeah, I mean, maybe the Sixers aren't hiring a head coach yet because they're hoping Eric Spoelstra gets fired. And Eric Spoelstra becomes remember, think about it. When we got Doc Rivers wasn't originally available. Originally, it was Ty Lue was going to be our coach. He was one of the leading candidates. And then Doc Rivers gets fired late into the process there. And then he becomes the number one guy. Just saying, maybe Eric Spoelstra is getting fired after tonight. That would be great. He is one of the best coaches in the NBA. Jimmy has looked hesitant. He has. He's looked scared. Not scared, not hesitant, tired. I mean, you think about what he put out against Boston, what he put out so far in this Boston series and the last round against Milwaukee and what, like, he is literally leaving it all. Like, he's the epitome of he's like Jalen Hurts to an extent. Leaves it all out there. Nobody can question his desire, leadership, and team leadership ability. But man, at some point at his age, it catches up to you. And the fact that he doesn't trust his teammates, enough to do the job, it's a struggle right now. If they hire Mike D'Antoni, I'll be done with the Sixers. Look, if there was a point about a week ago, I would have put it like he'd been really, he might have been their leading candidate. It really did. But the more I think about it, the more I realize it's Nick Nurse, it's one of the young assistants, or maybe it's something outside, the Jay Wright, which I don't think will happen, but Jay Wright or Eric Spoelstra or something. Like, I think Mike D'Antoni's only the guy if nobody else wants the job. And that puts it. Some people put the Sixers job as very undesirable because you don't know what's going on. Like, if you're sitting in with Nick Nurse or Mike D'Antoni, you don't know what to tell them. Like, is James Harden going to be here or not? Is Joel Embiid all in or not? Joel Embiid didn't want Doc Rivers fired. Is he going to be okay with me? Like, are you going to be able to move Tobias or not? Like it's a very confusing. Like, the Sixers are teetering from being a championship caliber team or bottoming out, and it's tough. Like, if you're Nick Nurse, are you going to take this job or Phoenix? Are you going to take this job or just wait till next year? Detroit's got young pieces that they're building. Do you take that and try to build them up? Is that more desirable? I don't think so. But Phoenix probably is. Just some of the other coaches, the Raptors, have young wing players. Are they more desirable of a destination than the Sixers? I don't know. But I think Mike D'Antoni at this point is probably gone from one of the top two candidates, in my opinion, to bottom, and I hope it stays that way. Do you think Spoelstra gets canned? I mean, I don't know how you don't can Eric Spoelstra. Like, in this day and age, you think about it this way. Monty Williams was the NBA Coach of the Year last year, got canned this year. Budenholzer won an NBA title, last year or 2 years ago? Got canned. Nick Nurse is only 3 years from winning a title. He got canned. Okay. Doc Rivers wins 50 games every year. Gets the second round every year at the Sixers. Got canned. Like, I always say NFL stands for not for long. Well, the NBA, it's a what have you done for me lately with the coaches anymore. It's crazy. I said this when it first all started the offseason for the Sixers. Like, the amount of huge opportunities. Like, right now, you think about it. Well, now they just did hire an assistant. But Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid, James Harden, Patrick Siakam. I'm missing one other here. They're like 5, 6. Chris Paul, Devin Booker. There's like 7 or 8 all-star level players, MVP caliber players that are coachless this offseason. Like, that's insane. So, with that all being said, Erik Spoelstra absolutely could get canned. And absolutely, the topic would have to be on the table. I don't know if they will, but it's got to be on the table. I mean, this would be 2 straight, disappointing endings to seasons with Jimmy Butler in Miami. Do they try to blow it up in Miami? If you fire Spoelstra, maybe Butler wants out. Maybe they do. Maybe they use Tyler Hero being hurt for the majority of the playoffs as the excuse and run it back. Again, I don't want to trade Joel Embiid. Don't say I said that. But Joel Embiid to Miami could be a possibility. Jimmy Butler wants his buddy, with him. Maybe that happens. I don't know. But Erik Spoelstra getting canned has to be on the table if they blow it tonight. And Boston's an 8-point favorite. Well, at least they were. Let me double check this. When the line first dropped, it was 8 points. It's now down to 7-point Boston favorite. Think about that. Boston is a 7-point favorite in Game 7 at home when they were down 3-0. Like, it's crazy that we're at this point. And Jimmy would drive to the hoop only to pump fake and pass it out. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy is, had shown some glimpses of Ben Simmons type style play this series here. But again, like, he's doing it. Like, I mean, no offense to Struss or Vincent or Duncan Robinson. There's no other star. Kyle Lowry. I mean, we talk about how old James Harden looked this year. Look at Kyle Lowry, man. The guy's out there. I mean, the guy is washed. Like, Jimmy Butler is doing it alone. It's not like this is not a big 3. I mean, I know Tyler Hero's got a max contract, and I think Bam does, but they're max contracts just for max contract purposes. Like, it's not like it's a big 3 in Miami. It's Jimmy Butler and everybody else. And maybe that's part of the problem, that he's done it all himself so long this season that he's washed at this point. He's washed. He's got nothing left. Now, I'm hoping he comes out tonight and plays a Jimmy Butler MVP type game. I don't want to see Boston win. I mean, I'm secretly rooting for them to lose for the Spoelstra get fired, so maybe he comes to Philly. I don't know. But it's interesting to have that conversation. Do you really want the coach who blew a 3-0 lead as the Sixers coach? I don't know. Isn't it intriguing to think of Erik Spoelstra? I mean, Erik Spoelstra has won titles. He hasn't with the Jimmy Butler, but he's made the finals with Butler in the bubble year where they lost to the Lakers. I guess he had a 3-0 lead in the conference finals that he would blow. I don't know. He's won titles with LeBron James. If you're going to run it back with Harden and Embiid, would Spoelstra be the guy because he's won titles with big stars, like a big 3, so to say, and he knows how to manage egos and stuff like that? That's why I wanted Ty Lue here originally back in the day. Not now, but back in the day, because he knew how to manage egos. I don't know. I don't know if I'd want Erik Spoelstra. I made the joke, but now you're Marsha and you're bringing up an interesting point, and now I just don't know. So would I want him here anyway? I don't know. What do you want? Why would Erik Spoelstra? If he gets fired, if Erik Spoelstra gets fired, Erik Spoelstra's taking a year off. Some coaches just do that. The jobs aren't desirable enough. You think about it, now there's only 4 openings left. Boones, Nurse, Monty Williams, Doc Rivers are 4 elite coaches. Because Doc Rivers, love him or hate him, he's still like considered in NBA as an elite coach. Plus, you got the Sam Cassells of the world, the Dave Yogers of the world, the other assistants from other teams. I mean, obviously, the Nick Nurse assistant that just got hired by Milwaukee, he wasn't on our radar because we don't know the Raptors assistants. But Boots has got assistants that are probably considered highly across the league. Monty Williams probably does as well. So there's like 8 to 10 guys for 4 jobs. Like if I'm Nick Nurse or if I'm Mike Budenholzer, like if I don't really love one of these jobs, I just wait. Sit out a year. You're still getting paid. You go call games on TNT or go do studio analyst for ESPN. Take an easy job, take an easy year, and then see where the NBA is next year. See where the Sixers shake out next year. See where if they don't fire Miami, doesn't fire Spoelstra this year, maybe they do next year. There will always be new openings every year. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But it's what's desirable. Like, do you want this job or not? But man, if Milwaukee wins if Boston wins tonight and becomes the first team to do this, I don't know what I'll think. Like I'm right now thinking that I've got to go lay money on the Heat. If there's 7-point dogs, I did hit the over under on the last game. If you follow me on Twitter at Bearded Knowledge, you'll never miss out on my bets. But I did bet the under and it hit easily on the last game. I don't know how I feel about it this week or this game. It was over under 210.5. I thought it was an easy play. 203.5. I don't know how I feel about 203 on the over under. It should probably hit the under, but it's probably going to be right around 199 to 201. So that's too close for my love. But -7, if you get it still at -8, I would take the Heat in the points because the Heat are not going to get blown out. Jimmy Butler is going to leave it all on the court tonight. There's no way the Heat get run out of the building in Boston. What's it called? The TD Garden. They don't get run out of there. But I kind of got to feel like that Boston wins tonight and becomes that first team. And we're going to come on here tomorrow and be like, what the hell? Does it make you feel any better that they have a chance still at the finals? I don't know. And what's Denver doing at this point? They're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs right now, getting healthy, maybe getting a little, rusty. NBA Finals start Wednesday. When did they finish? It's been like, it's going to be like 10, 12 days off for them. It's a long stretch with no basketball. And does Boston or Miami have the advantage or disadvantage, playing right through? Just getting a day off. I mean, they'll be tired, but they'll still be on. They'll be riding the high of Game 7 win. Denver's going to have some issues there. Jokic out with the horses in Denver right now. Yeah, you know what Jokic isn't doing? He's not in Vegas partying at strip clubs. That's what James Harden would be doing right now instead of working on his game. I'm still not going to come around on Jokic. Like the Joker will be secondary to me. Like I'll always hold him in that same sentence with Joel Embiid that he took at least one MVP from Joel Embiid. I get that. And that'll never change. And his appearance and the way he looks. Like I said a couple weeks ago, we had a game on and my wife was like, who's that guy? He looks fat and out of shape. I'm like, he's one of the best players in NBA history. And she just couldn't believe it. And then she was watching what he was doing. It was like, wow. And I don't think I'll ever be able to give him full credit. But what I've seen from him this playoff run, like, it's making me, like, I'm not going to criticize the guy anymore. I'm going to give him his props. I'm just never going to put him ahead of Joel Embiid just because I'm a Sixers fan. That being said, I still think we got people watching, tuning in late. We can keep going. If anybody wants to comment on the Eagles and DeAndre Hopkins, Sixers head coaching, Phillies, Kyle Schwarber, should he be benched or not? The pitching problems. Make sure you're liking the video. I don't have to get off right now. At the hour mark, I can stay on if people want to talk and drop their comments in the comment section. I'll answer them, but make sure we're smashing that like button as well. I'm just gonna have to stay. I'm probably gonna bet the +7, +8 on the Celtics tonight. I think that would be my main bet. I really do. I mean, maybe I could put together a parlay and get some more points on it, but I do. And I don't know. Does Spoelstra get fired if they lose this tonight? Does Pat Riley decide to give up his guy? Like, that's been his guy. They've been linked together for so long. And does Jimmy Butler hold, like, right now everybody's talking about, do I follow boxing or UFC? Mike, boxing, not really. It's funny because, my dad tried to get me into boxing when I was a kid, and we used to get every Mike Tyson, pay-per-view. He had the little, we never paid for them. He had the little box and whatever, the free pay-per-views. I used to be a massive UFC fan. And on a side note, it's like, and I don't even know who this is. Is this a MMA or boxing? Spence versus Crawford. Like the UFC to me, when I got into the UFC, it was in the beginning, and it was like the Forrest Griffin versus Stefan Bonner fight took it to big levels, and I loved UFC before that, but also during that era. Problem now with UFC and boxing to an extent is there's too much love, like too much camaraderie amongst the combatants. Like I want them to hate each other. I want them to fight. I need a little element of WWE in it. Like you had Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz. Like they literally looked like they wanted to rip their heads off. Like they weren't best friends. They weren't handshaking after the fight and saying, "Good job, bro. You'll get me next." There's too much. Just it's just get in the ring, fight, over. We're back to best buds. I need rivalries. I need true that's why I gravitate towards like a Conor McGregor because he might not really hate everybody, but he knows how to market it. Like I think the marketing of it and the rivalries has just gone down. Like, I want to see who Anderson Silva beat next. I want to see the Axe Murderer Vanderlei Silva fighting. See, I don't even know. Again, is this fight a boxing match or a UFC match? I don't even know anymore. I used to get every pay-per-view or go to the Hooters down the road, who showed them on, watch every pay-per-view, every one. And I just don't anymore. I just don't get it. If the I kind of hinted at this. If the Heat blow it up. So here's the question. Does Jimmy Butler hold enough power in Miami to say, I want the coach out and I want to pick my players, a.k.a. like a Joel Embiid or a James Harden? Is that who has the power? Or does Eric Spoelstra have the power that says, get Jimmy out of here and let's redo this around Hero and Bama and Bayou? That's the question. Who holds the power there? And that's the thing. So UFC, again, and I love watching a good fight. And you know what? Occasionally, when it's the free fights on ESPN or whatever channel they're on nowadays, the UFC fight nights that are free on TV, I watch them. I just don't know the backstories of the fighters as much because I don't pay as close attention. And because I don't pay close attention, and there's no heated rivalries that are like blowing up my screen all the time, I just don't get in on it. Miami been thirsting over Bradley Beal and Jimmy. So if Jimmy Butler has the power and he says, "Yo, go get me Bradley Beal, get Spoelstra out of here," then that's the plan. Miami's not going to fire Spoelstra and get rid of Jimmy Butler and then bring in Bradley Beal. Like they're not going to blow it up to that level, if that makes sense. Like there's going to be something. It's either going to be one way or the other: firing the coach or moving on from Jimmy Butler. And I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be rooting for Miami because I'm going to place that bet as soon as we're done on this show at plus 7, +8. And I want them to cover and make it easier if they just hit the money line and just won outright. I don't know. Again, I think the Sixers are being patient with their head coaching search and being patient with what's happening because they do want to see how this how this series ends. Like I really feel like there's a scenario in my head where either Eric Spoelstra is on the radar, or if it's not Eric Spoelstra, they're trying to figure out whether Joel Embiid's going to want out for Miami or Joel Embiid's going to push forward on wanting Jimmy Butler back here. Like, I really think what happens in this series influences what happens with the Sixers. It's really, really possible that what happens influences the Sixers drastically. If the Miami Heat make it to the finals, win or lose, they just make tweaks and bring it back. But if they drop a 3-0 lead and lose this series, what happens in Miami? That directly influences what happens with the Sixers. I really firmly believe that. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. It's Memorial Day. I don't know what you guys got going on. You guys got plans today? You got barbecues? You got, family gatherings, whatever. Gonna go play some golf today. I don't know. I don't know about where you're at. It's gonna be 75. It's gonna be partly cloudy, but still a nice day. I was sitting outside yesterday. You can't tell on the screen, but I got some sun yesterday. I don't know what's going on today. I don't have Memorial Day. Oh, of course you are smoking ribs, and I expect pictures. Someday you'll cook for me, Kyle, for sure. Great show. Thank you very much for tuning in, Mike. I appreciate it. Make sure you tune in. We're here live, 8:30 a.m. every single day, talking whatever. I don't even know what's on the agenda tomorrow. I almost skipped today's show, so I have these topics for tomorrow. because tomorrow there's no sports happening today. So I don't know what's going on tomorrow. Fairway to Heaven, my golf podcast will not happen tonight. It is Memorial Day. We'll do it tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Emiliano Grillo win the Charles Schwab Challenge, 70-1. Cash that ticket. If you're following me for golf betting, you'll win. We're back in the winning circle here this week. So we got lots happening here. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you follow. Make sure you enjoy your Memorial Day. Don't forget what the real meaning of Memorial Day is. Everybody have a great Memorial Day. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stifel. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Trending in the AM.